From Norwich, it's the plugin of the week. Lloyd Brown plugin of the week. Greetings one and all, this is Lloyd Brown and welcome social media family to Lloyd Brown Music. You've got to be of a particular age to know where that tagline came from. It's from a program called Sale of the Century for UK viewers. That program must have aired like around 40 years ago with a brother called Nicholas Parsons, no longer with us, but yeah. Program called Sale of the Century. I know I'm going off track. So here we are, we're promoting this, I was going to say the Sale of the Century. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen, with the latest plugin of the week, which is namely Alborosie's Dub Station. Caught my attention, caught my eye, created somewhat of a debateful thread in my social media feed. So let's get into it. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, welcome to the laboratory. And before we even go into the nuts and bolts of the plugin, I just want to give some blurb, courtesy of the Audiothings website, as to the plugin's humble beginnings, as it were. Filter Echo Spring by Alborosie. Straight from the heart of Jamaica's most prolific music community, Waterhouse in Kingston, we proudly introduce you the Alborosie Dub Station. We sampled, analysed and carefully recreated the original filter, echoes and spring reverb, pre-owned, modified and used by the legendary Osborne Ruddock, King Tubby, producer, studio engineer and pioneer of dub reggae from the golden era of the 70s from Alborosie's personal vintage gear collection. Echo Walk, directly from Federal Studios, then King Tubby Studio in Waterhouse, Kingston. The MCI 2-track tape that was used to record and also to create the echo effect for most of the reggae classics overall and popular Tubby instrumental dub mixes. Spring Bling, directly from King Tubby Studio in Waterhouse, Kingston, the modified Fairchild spring reverb used by the maestro himself in most classic records and dub mixes he recorded and produced. Filter Man, modelled after Tubby's so-called Big Knob. A passive high-pass filter with 11 frequency steps from 70 Hz to 7.5 kHz. This filter defined the sound of the entire roots era of Jamaican music. Special thanks to Lloyd James, King Jammy for the continuous inspiration and guidance. So that showed you right there that the move was full endorsed by King Jammy himself. So next piece of blurb is about Alborosie himself. Alborosie, real name Alberto D'Ascola. He was born in the Sicilian town of Marsala, Italy. He formed the Reggae National Tickets, who regularly toured Europe during mid to late 90s. As the millennium approached, the Tickets performed in Jamaica and the island immediately enveloped Alborosie in its spell, prompting him to jump ship and take a job as an engineer in G-Jam Studios in Port Antonio, a tropical hideaway on Jamaica's north coast where Amy Winehouse, No Doubt, and many other foreign and local stars like to record. I just wanted to be close to the music that I loved and that I couldn't find in Italy. That is the main story behind my journey. So all I want to do now is contribute to the genre and bring it to the next level, to carry the flag, or even just help someone else carry the flag. In 2011, he became the first white artist to win the MOBO Music of Black Origin Award in the Best Reggae Act category. I have nothing to say about the MOBOs at this point in time. And that's Alborosie's career in a relatively small nutshell. So featured here are the 3 pieces of vintage gear that Alborosie has acquired: the MCI 2-track tape, the Fairchild spring reverb, and also King Tubby's MCI console. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so we're in the laboratory right about now, and we have one instance of Alborosie Dub Station, which is assigned to the Congo track of a little dub ditty that I composed strictly for demonstration purposes. So let's just get into it real quick. So right about now, you notice that it is pretty small in size. Well, that can be fixed by actually rescaling the GUI right here. You have a manual option to operate the size of the GUI, but to me that's kind of long. I like to just work the scale with the mouse. Just click and drag, you know what I mean? It just makes it more easier. So that's the first thing. So let's just go into the interface real quick. So at the top here, we have more or less the presets and the settings section of the plugin. And right now it has init, which basically stands for initial or initialize, which is basically the default setting for each instance of Alborosie's Dub Station. So if you click on that, it will show you that it's initialized. And you have the option to open presets folder, and that will open the folder with the presets that you have customized yourself. And also the user folder as well. Once you've constructed and customized a setting of your own, the user section will light up, but because I haven't done so, it's grayed out, so there's no need. And the factory settings are basically here. Now, I've done a little bit of research in finding out who this Audiothings is. And basically he is, let me get the details up real quick. Okay, right, so Audiothings basically started in 2009. He's the co-founder of Wasteland Recording. Audiothings focuses on making experimental music that pushes the boundaries of sound, making anything from dubstep to drum and bass to IDM to metal and everything in between and beyond. And here's a picture of him. He has a world of settings here that you can see. And also Ryan Manning. Now, done a bit of research on him, and apparently Ryan Manning basically does the presets to pretty much all of Audiothings plugins. He does them all. Try to find a picture of the brother, could not find a picture of the brother at all. He's somewhat of an elusive character. But Ryan Manning basically does all of the presets to all of the plugins that Audiothings sells, basically. All right. And there are a selection of those, as you can see here. And then you have the dub settings, feedback, noise, flangery, grunge, king, low boost, memory, slapback, the drive, the space, the universe, tubby, and wet. All right. Okay, so that's basically that. So this icon is basically the floppy disk icon where you can actually save the preset that you've customized. The trash can basically deletes it, and the dice icon is more or less to press to get a random setting. So if I press the dice icon, it will come up with a random setting every time. So let's just put it back to initialize. Turn off that. Turn off that, and turn off that. All right. Okay, so on the right hand side, we have the bell, which is the notification of any news of updates and anything that relates to this product and probably any other product within Audiothings portfolio. And next to that, we have more options where you have the window size, the preset copy and paste, so that you can literally copy the presets from one instance of Alborosie's Dub Station to another, which is very handy. Disable notifications, swap mouse buttons, enable GUI acceleration, light theme, which you can change from dark to light. So when you click on it again, it's in white. Click on that, it's in dark, pretty much. Registration, online manual, about, etc, 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 etc. All right. Okay. So now we've got all of that out of the way. Let's get into the meat and potatoes, or the ital, if that's your preference. All right. So there's three sections, as was stated in the blurb. So you got the filter section, You got the echo walk section. Let's start again. You got the filter section, the echo section, and the spring reverb section. And they are all named Filterman, Echo Walk, and Spring Bling. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take down the scale of the plugin and let it kind of match up with the Congo track, which I'm going to feature. All right, so let's just hear the Congo track without any treatment to it whatsoever. Okay, so I've just chosen this track because what this plugin is going to do for this track, it will do for every other track. So there's no sense in really trying to just go through all the tracks in the composition and show you how the thing works. I'll be taking all day if that's the case. So I'm just going to stick with the Congo track because it's more rhythmic and it's more percussive and you can get more from that instance of the recording. All right, so let's just go back. So if we turn on the filter, all right, in fact, let's just open up the plugin again to a more larger size so you can see it on your screen real nice. Okay, so right. Okay, so let's switch on the filter. And from left to right, you have the original filter, the measured filter, which I think kind of normalizes the filter output, if I'm not mistaken. So it doesn't go all over the shop. It's kind of like balanced within the output of the audio itself. I'm just hazarding a guess, all right? But that's my take on it. All right, the frequency basically speaks for itself. It just chops off different frequencies from the audio signal going in. So let's just basically play that and tinker with that a little bit. Okay, so there's a lot of variation within the frequencies going through that signal alone. Impedance. So impedance basically is, and its definition is, let's just put it right here. The definition of impedance is the effective resistance of an eclectic circuit or component to alternating current arising from the combined effects of ohmic resistance and reactance. Not a lot of people know that. I didn't even know that. I just know how the things sound, you know what I mean? Anyway, so that's what the impedance is, and the gain basically speaks for itself. So you just yeah, so that's pushing out. So that's basically pushing out more of the signal right there. Okay, so that is the filter. Turn that off. Right, the echo walk, which is basically, you know, my favorite part of the plugin, is what's going to give you the dub delay effect. All right, so the buttons are as follows. You've got the on and off button right here. You have the sync button, which basically syncs the tempo of your DAW to the plugin itself. And when you hover your mouse over, it shows you in milliseconds the delay time. But if you sync it, it goes to 1/8, quarter triplet, 1/8 double, 1/4, half triplet, and so on, and so on, and so on. Now me, I like to personally leave it loose, all right? Depending on the rhythmic value of the instrument, I like to kind of leave it loose just to give it like a an abstract kind of vibe when you're putting on a delay effect. That's just me. I don't like it to be too correct, you know what I mean? Too in the pocket. It just doesn't feel natural, and Tubby and Scientist and Lee Perry don't work them weird, you know what I'm saying? So that's how I like to kind of work it. And the input and the output is pretty much self-explanatory. And this is my favorite part, which is basically the send button and the feedback button. Now, playing with this a little bit earlier on, the feedback is basically the length of the effect of the delay that you're gonna basically put on whatever input or audio signal rather that's gonna go through it. And for me personally, it's the sweet spot for me is around 80%, all right? And just to give an example, so if we turn on the echo up right there, my apologies for the hiss, but that's what you're gonna get. So if I play hitting the send, and that's what you do to kind of like kill it. Now, straight away, I'm already seeing that there's not a panic button because with effects like echoes and delays and stuff like that, it can get on top and it can get a lot busy. And if you're not too careful, you might forget a certain setting on any instance of this plugin and it will just go on forever and ever and ever. You need to kill it kind of quick. And the one thing that I've noticed with this plugin, it doesn't have a panic button, which I think is really, really needed on this. So maybe in the next update that can basically happen. All right. Okay, so the next button on the right or in the middle, you got the VU meter, which gives the signal, the level of signal going through this instance of the plugin. Now, here's another suggestion, audio thing. I'm gonna put up another plugin, which is basically called a talkback limiter, to explain exactly what I mean. Now, by putting up this instant of the plugin, I can't see straight away where this instance is connected to. And that's gonna cause me a little bit of confusion. I can look on the top left-hand side of the top corner on the left-hand side of my doors window and see that it's for the congos. But if I'm not greatly sighted, I'm not going to be able to read what that basically says. Now, what I think this plugin needs is the ability to have like a post-it just below the VU meter here. And by that, I'm going to illustrate exactly what I mean. Let me just bring this plugin here. Right, so you see this talkback limiter plugin here, which I'm not sponsored by, I must add. You can see like the gaffer tape, call it gaffer tape? Whatever it is, but you can see that there is the labeling of what the plugin is. Now, if you have something like that right underneath the VU meter to show which track it's aligned to, that will make things a whole lot easier. Trust me, it really would. All right. Okay, so moving swiftly. Next to that, we have on the bottom right hand, we have the hiss button, which does exactly what it says on the tin. Gives you that hiss. And on the right hand side, the bottom right hand side, you've got the dry, wet mix knob. Okay, now straight away, there are glaring omissions from this. But before I even go into that, I'm going to right click each button to show you the added settings you can basically give it. So you got the option to lock all of the buttons or just lock one button to a particular setting, or you can edit the value of the setting. Okay, but there's one glaring thing that is missing from this thing, and that is the MIDI CC learn function. If this thing basically had a MIDI CC learn function, that means I can utilize the buttons of my MIDI controller and work it a whole lot better than just using the mouse. Because right now I've got a mouse with a mouse wheel on it, and that's giving me the ability. So I'm using my mouse wheel right about now. And because I use my mouse wheel and my mouse on a regular, I can kind of zip round the settings at a general pace, at a general speed. But if you don't have that, if you don't have a mouse wheel on your mouse, you're literally kind of, you know, you're grabbing and you're dragging and you're going up and down, and it just doesn't feel natural for me. So that's something else that you need to consider, Audiothing, and that is to basically have MIDI CC controls on the relevant buttons. All right. Okay, so turn off that and let's go into Spring Bling, which is basically the spring reverb. And that does exactly what it says on the tin. So let's just play the congos again without any processing. And with. So that's basically the workings of the Spring Bling. You just got the on and off switch, and you got the dry, wet, min, max button. And that's pretty much what it does. So in summary, you basically got like around 3 different plugins in one to create a nice dub effect suite. It has to be said. So basically this is a dub effects unit. You know, it has more or less 3 plugins in one. And for me personally, it's not the greatest thing since sliced bread, because there's a lot more other plugins that kind of does the same thing. But the neat thing about this is that whereas you have to find 2 or 3 plugins to do the one job, you can literally have this plugin to do the one job, if that makes any sense. It's not revolutionary, but it's handy. And there's a lot of usage for this. As well as creating vintage dub effects, you can create a whole lot more in your plugin chain in modern music as well. You know, it's not just limited to vintage dub music per se. And that's what I look for in a plugin, something that can, you know, that can be utilized non-conventional fashion. That's what I mean. But yeah, so that is the Alborosie Dub Station. And I'm going to hook up a little dub ditty for you right about now. Dub it in a light brown style. In a light brown style, yeah. Dub it in a light brown style. In a light brown style. Dub it in a light brown style. In a light brown style. Dub 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 And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, the Alborosie Dub Station. My takeaway from it is simply that it's not revolutionary, but it cuts a lot of corners. Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas you have to find probably like around 3 different plugins to achieve the same effects, there is certain notable effects that is created from this plugin that I've not really heard anywhere else. And that's fair to say. But like I said before in the video, I look for plugins that can be used unconventionally in different genres of music. So for example, with this plugin as a dub effect, I'm not just going to use it for vintage dub music, if you like. I'll use it for modern dance music. I'll use it for drum and bass. I'll use it for whatever. You know what I mean? And that kind of extends the life of the plugin, and not just for it to be a novelty thing that I'm just going to have in my hard drive taking up space. It's not revolutionary, but at the same time, it's a handy bit of kit. And that's where I'm leaving it. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for stopping by. And as always, you don't know the cool people, please, I beg you to abstain from all kind of foolishness, even your own, even my own. And until we link up next time, people, stay blessed. I'm out of here. Meganski. Meganski. Later.